Hey, what's up, everybody? Matt from Matt's Mats here. So lots of you ask me, hey, Matt, I get your mat. It looks great. How do I actually mount it to the photo or the cut or the CD or whatever I might have? So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. I'm going to show you one today. It's called a T-hinge. I only use this for larger photos. Anything bigger than, let's say, an 8x10 or 11x14. 11x14s, 8x10s, cuts, CDs. I always use photo corners. I'll show you how to do that in the next video. It's super easy. It's minimal touch. But this is the way I do bigger photos. I'm going to do this on an 11x14 onto a 16x20 mat. Here's what you're going to need. Now, I've seen people also just tape the photo to the back of the mat. I mean, it's your choice. I wouldn't do that. You can run right to a local hobby shop, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, anywhere really, and get backer board or foam board. The backer board is thinner. I have both here. I used to use foam board exclusively, but it tends to not fit in all the different frames. Again, these are made to fit in standard frames from, big box stores. So there's not a lot of customization, save you some money. So what you need is a backer board. This is a 16x20 backer board. It's thin, it's archival, it's made specifically for this. You're going to need, of course, the photo. We're going to be doing one from Elf, Will Ferrell, and the mat, which, will end up looking something like this once it's all done. And then you're going to need a couple of different tools, one of them being a box cutter, double-sided tape. I get this from Dollar Tree. It is archival, it is acid-free, and it is $1.25. I have, 15 rolls of it over here right now. I'm sure there's different and better tape, but it's worked for me. It always has. I have a couple of different ones, depending on the size, but this is good because it is thin, so it can fit into smaller areas. If the mat and the photo are close together, you want to squeeze it in there. It's less cutting. Then you're also going to need, I have painter's tape for the hinge, but you can also use artist tape or linen tape. That's what I have here. And this is what I'm going to be using today. I'm actually out of the thicker linen tape, so I'm going to be using this today. Linen tape and artist tape are low tack, so less potential damage to the photo. Linen tape is super expensive compared to some of the other stuff. Artist tape is just as good. It's just thinner. That's what we're going to be using today. So here's what we have to do first. Once you have a nice clean surface, I have a air compressor that I use to blow off everything here. I already did that before the video because nobody wants to hear them. And again, I have gloves on only because this is not mine. If I'm matting or mounting somebody else's thing, I want to be as careful as possible with it. So I do not take any chances. Gloves, wash my hands beforehand. I have alcohol wipes over here just in case. So that's just me. Also, you can also use, a lot of people use weights, sandbags, very soft sandbags. I don't use them only because I've been doing this for long enough where I don't need to. But it can help keep the picture in place. If it's the first time you're doing it, I'll show you what you have to do there. So what you want to do, take your backer board. This is actually already cut to size, so I'm not going to have to worry about cutting it later. This is 16x20. I'm going to take the mat, line it right up with the backer board, and create a hinge to make it easier to line up, open, and close. So once you have the hinge out, close it up, make sure everything lines up. Sometimes you have to give it a little extra push on the edges to flatten it down. And so now you have a nice little open and close for when you're lining up the photo. I'm going to take the photo next, give it a rough placement, and then center it within the mat. Now, a lot of times you can eyeball it. Sometimes you can measure it. I usually eyeball it only because if there's a COA sticker, I want to make sure that it's visible unless it's been made specifically not to. Also, I want to make sure that all of the edges are far enough within the mat where if I was going to use a photo corner, it's not visible. I'm not going to use it on this one. Actually, I'll put some on the bottom just so you can see that as well. But as you see here, we have it. It is centered. It looks good. Everything's straight. Everything's lined up. We're going to open up the mat. And now we're going to create the hinge. Now, basically what we're doing is we're going to take 4 pieces of tape. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These 4 pieces of tape are going to be used to create T's. It's called a T-hinge. Basically what we're going to do is, with the sticky side up, we're going to take the photo and press it to the back of the photo. Again, this is so there's not a lot of touch on the photo itself. Nothing's on the front. And then we're going to take the second piece and do the same. This isn't super easy to do with the gloves on, but once that is set, you're going to take the other 2 pieces of tape and lay them across to stick the tape onto the backer board. Now you want to keep it off of the photo, make sure it's not on the photo, make sure it's down on there good. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So basically what we did is stick a very small piece of tape to the back of the photo. Again, limiting the amount of adhesive that sticks to the photo. And then we're taping that down. So essentially what you get is a hinge. Now, it's always good to double check, make sure everything's lined up, which it is. And here what I'll do is, just so you can see, is use 2 photo corners on the bottom. And that's as simple as making sure the photo's straight, sliding on the photo corner and pressing it down. Photo corners are great because there's absolutely no adhesive touching the photo, and it's, you know, super easy to do, especially with things like book cuts, CDs, anything that's paper. You don't want to put any kind of tape on anything that's non-treated or non-coated paper. It's just a recipe for disaster. So everything's on. Double check. Everything looks good. Everything is centered. I think it looks fantastic. There might be a little glare on this. I'll show you finished later. But then what we're going to do from here is take the double-sided tape and run around the perimeter of the entire backer. You can use the box cutter, or you can use small scissors. Go around the entire perimeter of the backer board. This is so you know none of the tape will hit the photo. All the edges will be sealed, and you won't have any issues. Plus, what you can also do on some of these mats, there's a big area of just nothingness where there's no photo, there's no opening up here. These sides, if you want to add another piece, I usually go diagonal because it covers the most amount of space. A little too much there. And then if you want to get crazy, which we can do, just so you can see it, is give it another quick stripe down each side. This will help hold the mat in place. This will help make sure that the photo doesn't shift if, you know, if something like the frame falls off the wall or something like that happens. Now, because I have the gloves on, I'm not going to be able to get this backer for the tape off, especially because you want to make sure it's down. I usually run over it with some kind of a flat, a credit card, or this is a squeegee, just to make sure the adhesive has taken. Then I'm going to use a hook just to get the backer off. Once you have all of the backer off, we're going to carefully put the mat in its final space. Make sure everything's lined up. If there's any excess, we will cut it off, because the mat is cut to a perfect 16 by 20. This backer board sometimes could be a millimeter off and throws everything off, but all the backer is off. We're going to lay it down, smooth over all the edges. Make sure everything lays flat. And we are done. Now what I also do, again, with using the photo corners on the back, we want to affix the COA. Some people frame the COA in the front. I don't like that. So if you get it done by me, I'm always going to affix the COA to the back of the mat. That way it's also protected when you put it in a frame. You can try and do just two, but usually you're going to need to add all four corners, because these tend to slip out no matter how big or small they are. And that will do it. As long as you have the right tools, you can make it look good. It's super easy, save you a bunch of money, and at the end of the day, you have a fantastic looking piece for your wall or for a present. I am happy to mount things for you. You just gotta send it to me, and it just ends up costing a little more in shipping and only a couple of bucks for the materials. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to do it with just the photo corners. Again, super easy. And that is it. This is ready to get shipped off, and I hope you learned something today.